Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Today is DGI-394 and we have our co-host Sridhar Chityalaji. He's going to unveil the secret behind the rate increases in the United States, because what we are seeing is rates are going on rising and then the crude is falling and the economy also is going into a recession. What gives? So to understand this puzzle, let's welcome our co-host Sridhar Chityalaji. Sridharji, namaskar.
Namaskar and good morning. And it's a very nice introduction to view ourselves into the world of Jerome Powell.
Yes, sir. $78 is what Brent is today, and Texas is at 71. So the demand definitely is collapsing. Maybe not collapsing, but it's definitely slowing down very, very fast. So what is the rationale behind still increasing the rate, sir?
I think the rate increase, we talked about it. This is the Jerome Powell Fed agenda, which is they are determined to bring the inflation levels down. It has now come down to about 7.7% year over year. Their target is between 2 and 4. So still we are way up around the 7.7%. It's just not United States, around the world, including people who look at India. India has seen 10th or 11th or 14th consecutive month of, way above the base rate of inflation. So this is what is driving the central banks to act in synchronous manner, because not that the banks want to adopt in an asynchronous manner, which can create market equilibrium and economic disparity and disruption. So everybody is raising, but now everybody is trying to raise at a slower pace, as we discussed. For the first time, we are seeing the markets respond and react and indicate that there looks like, notwithstanding the fact this Jerome Powell induced rate, it could be tilting the economy towards recession driven by consumer demand and other sentiments. So this is what we are seeing. Indian Reserve Bank, which we'll cover later, has also increased. Around the world, everybody is raising the rate, Sriji. But as you rightly said, two good news. The energy prices have come down. The dollar is depreciating. The yield curve is also coming down from a long-term point of view. So there's some positive news within the context of what the nations can do.
Sir, today I am Dr. Doom and Gloom. I'll give you one more number. Home sales have been down 5% across the United States, and in some areas as much as 20%. And they are saying that with the current rate at which the interest rates are going up, this one will be like the 1993 recession, when the housing really went down. Even in the Bay Area, which is usually like very Teflon coated, it doesn't really respond to the overall housing prices. Even here, people are feeling the pinch, sir.
Well, I think you're beginning to see the first and foremost, the mortgage rates are sub 5.25 to 6%. That's pretty high relative to where we were. But there's tremendous layoffs that is going on in the valley.
Yes.
And tremendous. We have about close to 200,000 people. Who is next? We don't know. They don't know, based on the demand contraction that has occurred. And more importantly, that we are beginning to see the layoffs in the other sectors, such as banking. It's been a long time since I've seen banks, lay off. 2% of the staff is going to be laid off at Morgan Stanley. 2% layoffs, 2% of the people, a lot of corporate staff. And you're seeing Pepsi is laying off the corporate staff. So when there is a looming issue around whether I'm going to have a job as I step into 2023, there is necessarily going to be issues around the demand on the housing front. The demand on the housing front has been coming down ever since the rates have been going up somewhere from June, July of this year, Sriji.
And thank you so much, Sridharji. I'd request you to we should do a conversation, sir, on companies like Starbucks. Starbucks has had a different kind of a hit because of COVID, Sridharji. they have actually closed down many stores for the fear that they have been experiencing a place where the COVID seems to spread more. You see
Well,
where I'm getting? In inner city areas, especially, they see that they are being forced to close stores because of the problem that they are having.
true. I think epicenters of concentration always becomes the fulcrum points.
Yes.
They are not organized to in and out conducting the tests, temperature tests to determine, and also they have to put in strict quarantine controls driven by what the local medical authorities impose. So all this makes it really a problematic expedition for companies such as what we call freestanding restaurants, FSRs, and they are the people who are highly impacted. But if you are running a mobile, like mobile or drive-in or walk-in, pick up and go, I think then that is a different. It's possible that they can deal with it, but for Starbucks is clearly not. Starbucks's order and pickup is a different model. You still have to walk into the store and have your order picked up. So I think that this is a challenge. Fortunately, we have some new variants going on in United States. Fortunately, the rest of the world seems to be. I don't know why only we have, but rest of the world don't seem to have this different, I don't know what the name is called as variant B of the new virus. So why we have this? Why we are the lone center of excellence for these viruses? I have no idea.
Yes, indeed, and yes, I am beginning to see masks showing up again now in the Silicon Valley also, sir. Now let's take a look at the ongoing Ukraine-Russian war. Putin issues a statement that he's not mad and that he will not use nuclear weapons. And in the same breath, he also says this is going to be a long war. What do we parse out of what he said, sir?
What he's basically saying is, I'm not stopping the war. And second, don't think that I'm a half mad guy. I'm not going to issue nuclear threats and deploy nuclear weapons. I'm not mad. But I will continue to prosecute the war till I'm satisfied. And that's what he's giving a clear message that nuclear option is a deterrence, but nuclear option is not an offense. I think that's the message that he is clarifying. Why he is clarifying now, I don't know, but certainly he's clarifying that point very clearly in unambiguous terms. He's also probably fearful, Sriji, that NATO may be building up, Sriji.
So, Sridharji, I think I have a guess as to why he did this statement. See, United States recently did a game simulation of the nuclear capabilities of China, and China was jumping up and down, literally jumping up and down. I wonder if he's trying to say that, look, we know what we are going to do, or trying to kind of say that, we are more responsible or something to that effect, sir.
No, I think your observations certainly have to be factored in, within the context of what his thinking is. Certainly, I think that the joint exercises that United States and Israel had contemplated, which we covered in Daily Global Insights, is exercises to take out the nuclear installations in Iran. If you remember, we covered that a few days ago.
Yes.
But I just don't know whether that is the trigger point. I think what is the trigger point, in my humble view, is there's some conversation that has taken place between the two groups, the two defense ministries. I think that we're not privy to that, or nothing has come out as yet. But there has been some conversation that's happened between the two nations, and he is now clearly giving an indication. That's one reason. The other reason also is Biden is unwilling to talk to him, and Biden has actually talked to Xi Jinping. Notwithstanding the simulation exercise, he has talked to him. He's talked to all of the leaders. So Vladimir feels very offended, probably, that he's not talking. So he's telling Mr. Joe Biden, hey, please talk to me. I'm not going to be using nuclear option, but if you don't talk to me, we can't resolve this war.
Yes, indeed, sir. And now let's take a look at the statement that the TSMC founder, Morris Chang, has said, something that Sridharji has been saying for quite a while now. That is that globalization is dead and bilateral relationships are the way to go forward. How is this going to be applicable in the context of semiconductors, sir?
Well, we are seeing already India and United States are two classic examples of what is happening in this, and Japan semiconductor. TSMC has upped the investment.
Yes, 12 billion
jointly with United States. So the Arizona plant is going to be a $50 billion or a $40 billion capital intensive plant in United States to supply the needs of the US market and possibly export to North America. Then TSMC and a couple of other big foundries are having partnership in India. We covered that as well, to meet the domestic demands of India, as well as, also start to leverage some of the factories in China, in Japan. This is, and also in Taiwan. So what does this mean? It simply implies that they are trying to move this semiconductor capabilities to which is maximum consumed, also to mitigate any supply chain issues. So there's no question of make in one place, deliver it in multiple locations seems to be coming to an end. And none other than Morris Chang stands up and says, it's over. There is globalization. At least semiconductor, we have started to plan and we are moving towards more localization. That seems to be the trend, Sriji.
Sridharji, patents in China. This was something that was told to me a long time ago when I got really happy about one of my patents being registered in China. He said, it doesn't mean anything. It's not even worth the paper it's written on. So today, now we are seeing that Lithuania is saying that EU is going to be pursuing China in the WTO over its lack of respect for patents. What has changed, sir? What do you think China is going to do? They have never really respected any patents.
Well, they're trying to bring China to WTO. It's all about economic hurt. It's not like it's old wine in the new bottle. It's the same issue. Patent violation, intellectual property, all this has existed time immemorial. Okay, it's not something new. So therefore, Lithuania says EU we must pursue because there's a lot of patents being violated, which are EU is impacted. So let's bring this up issue and bring China to task. So that's all. It's another source of irritant, and they are trying to bring China to the negotiating table. China never negotiates. Xi Jinping never negotiates. He directs what the others need to do. So it's going to be interesting to see what and how this is going to play out, Sriji. And this also responds to Morris Chang's question, globalization is dead.
Yes, indeed. That's right. So let's take a look at what is happening in Taiwan. US military bill has earmarked 10 billion to Taiwan. Australia also is beginning to send in some aid. So there is all signs that now the United States is beginning to prepare and is very resolute in supporting Taiwan. Given the fact that there has been quite a bit of unrest in China, do you think that China is still harboring ambitions to occupy Taiwan, sir?
Senkaku and Kui Islands, sir, on either side. Okay.
So you stand by your prediction.
Senkaku, because then they can control the Taiwan Strait. That is what they're trying to accomplish, the Taiwan Strait. It's like, winning the war without fighting a battle. You encircle and you force them to come to negotiating table because you are effectively creating a blockade. That's what is going on. So that's my answer to Xi Jinping. Whether he succeeds or not, I don't know. But clearly, Senkaku is the first piece of apple that he's going to chew.
Wonderful, sir. Let's wait and see. I hope it doesn't happen. It doesn't come to that. But let's see. I mean, there is also other things happening inside China. And we'll give you an update on that one very, very shortly. We're working towards that. A sincere request to all the viewers to like this video because the best is yet to come. And the best is now in the recently concluded runoff in Georgia. Trump's candidate, Herschel Walker, a former NFL player, has lost again. This is the second time he has lost to the same candidate. And now the strength in the Senate is 51 Democrats, 49 Republicans. Sridharji, this was Trump's candidate, wasn't he?
Was a Trump's candidate. Unlike the last time, the governor of Georgia,
Kemp.
Brian Kemp, also supported and endorsed. I think what is very clear is the Democrats are bringing their electoral voters to the party, and the percentage is very small. Republicans have not been successful thus far. This is three. Even Raphael Warnock, this is two elections. Remember,
Yes.
this has happened because he filled up a vacancy. So this is 2020 and 2022, two elections. All three has won. So therefore, Republicans have to go back to their drawing board rather than complaining. And of course, the media wants to garland it as Trump's candidate. So we are also garlanding it as Trump's candidate. But whether it is Trump's or not Trump's candidate, I just don't think there would have been a material difference in the outcome.
Sridharji, the Republicans have to change the ground game. I'll give a football example because the candidate was actually a football player. I used to live in Denver for many years, and the Denver Broncos were a good team, except that they were always throwing. They would never win Super Bowl. They would never go beyond playoff. They will make it to the playoff. The moment they got a really good running back, they started winning Super Bowl. And the key there is that if you have a good running back and if you are a mile high, you keep running the ball and running the ball and running the ball. So there is a ground. That's what is called as establishing a ground game. That's what, in large parlance, you say that. So I wonder when the GOP is going to figure out that the Democrats have unleashed a new weapon. And this weapon needs to have a counter Brahmastra. That's all I can say. Sridharji, you can add to that, and then I'll give another update on the Trump story.
The story is very simple. Republicans are state champions. Democrats are national champions. That's the way it is going to play out. So the Republicans will hold on to their 20, 25, 30 states and keep winning elections because they have locally good candidates. Nationally, I believe that they have lost the plot in terms of how to win an election.
So, Sridharji, this is the first DGI we are having after the court verdict against the Trump Corporation came out in New York. The numbers are very small. $1.61 million fine on the CFO, Weisselberg, who has said that it was all his own. He has taken the sword. He has fallen on the sword for Trump. That's how I see it. You can disagree with me, sir. But whatever it is, it's just a small number. This is not the intent, I don't think. The intent is to try and tarnish brand Trump. Your thoughts, sir?
First and foremost, Trump is going to contest this. Okay, so
of course, he's going to go all the way to Supreme Court. Yes.
The last word is Trump is he knows how to come back. So it's a very powerful scenario there. So therefore, let's see what comes out of it. What do I think of it? I think their goal is, as you rightly said, the number is not material, but obviously there is a case that they have built. So they will try and foresee many different ways by which the brand Trump can be tarnished. And New York is the presiding state for the Democrats in terms of accomplishing that goal, because you see Trump all over the place in Manhattan. So therefore, and probably the New Jersey area as well. So, but Trump will fight. He will kind of, come back. He knows how to do it. But in my view, political capital part of it is, I think that I have a feeling he has to gracefully concede and give it to some George DeSantis or somebody else and be the patron figure and mobilize for the sake of the Republicans. That's my conclusion. But of course, Trump is unpredictable. Only Trump can decide and Trump knows what he wants to do.
Only Trump knows what Trump wants to do. Yes, indeed. But see, there is a counter to this. See, the longer they keep Trump in the spotlight, it also polarizes people, and they will think that, for a 1 million settlement, they are trying to go after him. In fact, I was talking to this with a blue collar person today, and he said, hey, I would like it if you would pay for my grandchildren. Straight. Because that is one of the things that he has been found guilty of. That Trump wrote the checks for the grandchildren of Weisselberg. You see what I'm saying? So there's also counter polarization possibility that every day his name will be in the press. Every day he'll be seen going to a court and he'll give one grand statement. You see what I'm saying?
I know. I don't want to get into the details of FASB accounting. Financial accountants and standards board. FASB is an interesting. So look, there are fringe benefits and so on. So we don't want to get into those things. But let's, he's innovative ways. He will find innovative ways by which he can give fringe benefits to his senior execs. And somebody finds that to be not acceptable, then you have a hit. So that's we'll go on. We'll go on.
This was more in jest, sir. I mean, you see what the way I see it, sir. Trump couldn't have become what he became without being able to take cases to litigation and fight it there. So it's like, you're trying to wrestle with an alligator in the pond where the alligator is at the strongest. That's how I see it, sir. I mean, I'm an independent person. Anyway, that's what I say.
No, they don't want the alligator to come out of the pond. If it comes, it's going to create damage. So keep it in the pond and keep it fighting, Sriji. They are afraid if it comes to main shore, then it's going to chew them all.
People will say DGI has become a game of metaphors, so instead of Game of Thrones. So, thank you, sir. And let's take a look at India. India has also raised its rates, and there's also the drone technology that India has developed. Now that looks like that's also beginning to get some traction. So, talk to us a little bit, sir. India has raised it by 35 basis points. Sir, India doesn't use the normal thing of 25, 50, 75, and 1. Why are they doing this 40, 35, and so on? Any logic there?
No, there's no logic. I mean, I think they have their own calculations, and their calculation says this particular sequence works and it meets their criteria, so they do. Sometimes, that would be my response. I think we talked about this once upon a time. Why 25?
I think so.
Yeah, why 35? Yeah. But still, India's rate is 7.25%. You have to discount it to the currency scale, but people still believe that it is an acceptable rate based on all the economic activity that is taking place. I think the inflation is contained, but inflation still, because of supply chain issues on some of the items, is obviously the energy also they are seeing some positive effects. But let us wait and see. Again, they don't want to be asynchronous to if all countries in the world are raising interest rates, they don't want to be like a Turkey, either reducing rates or be in disparity. So you will see that they will be synchronized kind of rates, albeit in small percentages.
Sridharji, this is a big question here. Last question for you, sir. Apple wants to come to India, and I think that would be an excellent partnership. The challenge there is not that India cannot help Apple produce iPhones fast. The challenge is to be able to source all these parts that go into an iPhone from various parts of the world. That how much of the work has been already done by India? Because Apple has started producing about a year or 18 months ago. Do you think Apple can scale it very quickly in India, sir? Production?
I think it will gracefully scale. I don't know whether they can asymmetrically scale, given India is also developing its fab capabilities from a sourcing point of view. Then other electronic components, India has been progressively building. India has a fairly well-established mobile ecosystem from a manufacturing point of view right now. So I don't know how much of it is standardized and not standardized, but it is not kind of coming out of the woodwork. Today, India is the second largest mobile exporter in the world. So mobile phone exporter in the world. So I think it has clearly got an ecosystem, and it believes it can build an ecosystem. Apple has already got a footprint. It also is a mechanism for Apple to meet the domestic demands of the Indian market, which is a big market in terms of the consumption. So this is another example of globalization to localization. in conjunction with all other ecosystem components, Sriji.
Absolutely, sir. And that was a wonderful discussion today that we had. Viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And if I were you, if I were watching all the programs of P Gurus, my preference would be to watch DGI every time it airs, because look at how many times we have been so far ahead of the news that comes from MSM. I'm not boasting here. I'm just saying that we have been proved right so many times. It is just that we seem to be able to, or not me, Sridharji seems to be able to sniff the breeze and know what's going to happen next. Thank you very much, Sridharji. I can't say more than that in terms of how I'm indebted to you for bringing the quality of this program and keeping it right there. Thank you so much, sir. Namaskar.
Thank you, Sriji. It takes two to tango. That's why it is called Shri and Shri. So therefore, to power the DGI of the world. So therefore, that makes it an enchanting experience. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Have a great evening. Thank you, Sriji.
Thank you. Namaskar.